Hi guys, this is CK at CK Education, and I've been making the last few videos about financial advice and things that I've learned over the years about money. And so today I want to talk about a man named Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is a very, very popular and well-known author and host of the Dave Ramsey Show, and he's a um, he's been around forever. You know, he's written the bestseller, The Total Money Makeover, and you go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble or something, and his books are everywhere. But years ago, when I was learning about money and learning about debt and things like this, I heard so many things. I read so many different things about debt, and today I want to focus on debt and what I think about that and what I've learned about that, because a lot of people are confused about this thing. And when you go to school, and the same thing when I went to grad school, I have an MBA. That's that's really nothing to do with financial success or anything like that. But I'm just saying that to say, even if you have a master's degree, even when you go to graduate school to study business, you learn what I think are just impractical things that really have very little to do with personal finance. Understand that the financial education you might get in college or a grad school is really geared towards helping you become an employee in a company. It really doesn't help you become good at your personal finance. Okay. But that being said, everybody talks about good debt, bad debt, and you hear investors talk about this. You hear when you go to school, they talk about this. And good debt is you're going into debt to buy assets that appreciate. So if you get a mortgage on your house, you're going into debt, but they consider that good debt because your house usually appreciates in price. Or if you buy let's say a collectible car or something, an antique car or something, and maybe you go into debt to buy that, but you expect that to appreciate in price. So, and on the logic goes, and people even go into debt to buy stocks. And so certain brokerages, if you set up your account and stuff, they will actually lend you money to purchase stocks if you get to a certain level, which I think is very dangerous and risky. Because again, they consider, well, you're quote investing, and so it's okay to go into debt, and so then people start abusing this as like, oh yeah, they buy, I don't know, they buy a boat and they're like, this is an investment in my future, and because they think it's going to help them relax or something. I mean, people start throwing this around like, oh, everything's an investment. This is an investment. This is an investment. Okay, so strictly speaking, an investment is something that is expected to or usually appreciates in value. But even in those cases, is it wise? Is it good to go into debt to purchase assets that appreciate? And what I learned from Dave Ramsey, and what I came to realize even in my own experience. Now, let me just say, when I read, I talked about John Bogle a few videos ago and what I learned from him about the markets and index funds and so forth. And today I'm talking about Dave Ramsey. These are all people that have been very influential in my thinking. And so I don't follow to every T what they say or what they assert, but I do try to learn, and the things that I hold on to are things that really work. And if I try something, if I read something or I learn something from somebody, I try it if I think it's really wise, if I think that it's the right thing to do, if I think it's effective, you try it. If it doesn't work in your life, that means one of two things. I'm doing it wrong, or I'm doing it right, but it really doesn't work. It's just a sales tactic. It's a sales pitch in the end. And some things are like that. Some things you try and you're like, yeah, that doesn't really work at all. But some things you try, and sometimes you have to modify it a little bit to fit your own situation, but it actually works. And the people that I talk to you and that I'll be sharing in the next few videos, and people who have influenced my thinking and my philosophy about things, these things I believe, well, in my life at least, it really has worked. And so Dave Ramsey, the thing that I learned from him is that all debt is bad. I'm talking about personal debt. I'm not talking about corporate debt, companies But that's a whole different topic. I don't want to talk about that because I'm not a CEO of a corporation, or I'm not involved in that. I just want to talk about personal debt. You as a person, you as an individual, we have debts. In the last video, I said there are four major debts in our society. There's mortgage, which is usually the biggest. There's car loans, there's student loans, and then there's credit card debt. Those are usually the four major debts that people have. And my assertion is that, and I agree with Dave Ramsey, because this is where really I came to this realization, was that there's no fuzziness in my head about debt. There used to be, maybe there is good debt, maybe there's bad debt, maybe mortgage is good, maybe you really do need it because it's interest is the interest is tax deductible. And if you're an employee, if you're a salaried person, you need as many deductions as you can get. And so if you pay off your mortgage, you're not going to have the interest being deducted from your taxes anymore, and all this stuff. And there was a lot of confusion, a lot of blurriness. But it became very, very clear to me what and how to think about debt. And so I've come to realize, and I've come to experience in my own life, I just consider all debt bad. And when I say bad, I don't mean I never go into it. Like I've had a mortgage before I paid off my house. And so, yes, but because most people can't put down $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, they don't have that cash to buy a house. So you put down what you can and you mortgage the rest. And if you mortgage it, that's debt. If you buy a car, a lot of people can't buy a car with cash. They can't just put $30,000, $40,000 down. So they get a car loan, and so, and on and on. So people have debt, and I have been in debt, but I think that the mindset about, sometimes you have to go into debt, maybe to buy a house or something big like that, but you should pay that off as soon as possible. And that's the mindset that I took, and that is the action that I took. And I started taking debt elimination very seriously about 7 years ago. Before that, I was paying more than the minimum on the mortgage and other things, but I wasn't being really aggressive. About 7 years ago or so, I began to get seriously aggressive, paying 3 or 4 times what is required on my mortgage. I was paying, just paying stuff off, and just, and so, because I came to realize that all debt is bad. And I came to realize, I just thought like this. I thought, what if all the money that I'm paying every single month that goes towards these debts, the mortgage and car loans or student loans and credit card. I didn't really have credit card debt. That was a long time ago. But what if all of the monies that I pay every month going towards those, let's say suddenly they didn't go out anymore? Man, that would be wonderful. So I just thought about that future state, and I just every single month, without exception, just every single month, just cutting and eliminating debt. And I made an Excel spreadsheet, and I calculated. I went on to an online mortgage payoff calculator. I'll put a little link to the little. They're free. You could go online and just find these, and I'll show you the one that I use that I think is pretty cool. You put in like your principal and how much you owe and what your interest rate is and how much extra you want to pay that month, and you click on calculate. It'll tell you. It'll give you an amortization schedule of how early you can expect to pay it off, and it's fairly accurate if you put in the right numbers. And so I'll just include a link to that in the description below on this video, okay? And you can go use that and let me know how it works. But I've been using that for years, and you just put in things and you can see how fast you can expect to pay things off. And if you say, well, what if I pay this much extra, how much faster will that pay it off, and things like that. It's great for creating scenarios. So I made an Excel spreadsheet for every debt that I had and every single month, and I make projections and see, and just start, sort of like color coding as I get, as I progress. And so I know about how many months I have left to pay off, and on and on. And so it becomes a little game. But I did that to pay off all my debts. And so if you do that, I think that's a powerful tool. You need something visual, and I think that really helps you, will help you to do that. And so, I just imagine that future state. Well, what would happen if all the money that I pay towards debt would just eliminate it? I didn't have anymore. Well, that would be fantastic, right? I mean, you think about your situation. You're paying off your mortgage, you're paying your car loans, your student loans maybe, and you maybe have a lot of credit card debt or something like that. Just imagine the money that you pay every single month towards those four things. If they just were gone, even at your current income, if your income didn't go up at all, man, how much money would you save? How much more money would you keep every month if that happened? And that's what I thought, that's what I imagined, and that's what really motivated me to aggressively pay off debt. Now, it doesn't take, you can't usually do it in, well, I don't know anybody who's done it in like a year or something. It takes years. It depends on how big your mortgage is and how big your debts are. But it'll take years, but you got to be disciplined. You got to always be thinking of that future state. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. And when I get there, what is it going to be like? And you just have to do it. And so Dave Ramsey was instrumental in helping me, helping to clarify for me that all debt, personal debt, is bad. It should be eliminated. Yes, sometimes necessary, but absolutely you aggressively, take action to pay it all off. You don't want to put it off. You just want to pay it off as soon as possible, as early as possible. And I learned in my experience that yes, indeed, that is the right way to go. Because debt is like a shackle around your ankles. It doesn't allow you to run. You can only, walk so fast because you got these things holding you back. It's like dead weight. And so once you release that, you just feel so much financially more free and liberating. And you just have so much more opportunities. I've said many times, money doesn't buy happiness. Of course not. Money is not happiness. It is just opportunity. It is just a tool that we need in life. It doesn't define us. It doesn't, give us worth, or it's just a tool. It's like a hammer or a saw to a carpenter. Okay. It doesn't define the carpenter. It doesn't matter how good of a tool he has. It doesn't make him a better man or a better woman or anything, but it's just a tool. And money is like that. So the reason everybody talks a lot about money, and I do as well, is that this is just a very, very practical thing that can be measured, and there are right ways and wrong ways to manage them, I think. And I think that the better you manage it, the better off you are in your practical everyday living. So I just wanted to share that with you today. And so I'll just see you in my next video, and I'll just cut it here today.